and welcome back to my channel. My name is Ajwa and I hope this video finds you well. If you are new to this place, please consider subscribing, and to all my returning subscribers, thank you so much and welcome back. In this video, I have a descriptive, detailed review of a fragrance that I recently chanced upon, and I was intrigued because the bottle looks so regal and classy, and I just wanted to know much about the house, which is fairly new to me. This house is known as Wataniah, and the fragrance I'm talking about is Watani Intense. A very pretty, regal, gold all over, and that is basically what's attracted me to this particular bottle. The box in which this one is also housed is quite elegant, but it's just a simple cardboard, but it's nothing, to match the fragrance, the bottle itself. It's so pretty. So this one also reminds me of something that I already have in my collection, which I think I mentioned in one of my previous videos, but I'll just give a detailed review of this, after which I'll make a comparison to see whether it is worth having both or not. So the notes in this one includes, on the top notes, some cloves, some honey, some vanilla, some lemon. The middle notes also has some vanilla, some fruit accord, rose, ylang ylang, jasmine and saffron, whilst the base note has vetiver, vanilla, licorice, sandalwood, musk and patchouli. So it has a triple dose of vanilla, which makes it in combination with the honey a bit gourmandish. This is one that I was a bit surprised about, because the scent is quite unique. It doesn't have any oud oud in it, but it has some woods, some woody touches to it. So although the scent comes across as a bit Middle Eastern in nature, it doesn't have any oud in it, and the patchouli is also so, everything is so blended beautifully in it that you don't really get the individual notes, but you get an overall honey, vanilla, with that soft spicy cloves. It's not like a warm spicy or a very spicy fragrance, but the honey and that triple vanilla make it a bit gourmandish in my opinion. So I just sort of will refer to this as a Middle Eastern gourmand scent without it being too foodie. It doesn't really cross to the foodie edible gourmand place where a lot of gourmand fragrances come across as too realistic gourmand. This one, because of the honey is quite prominent, so you get that mixed with that triple layer of vanilla, which makes it very, very sweet smelling, but it also doesn't come across as overly sweet to the point it becomes cloying. It has this cloves which is so well done, so it doesn't really make it overly spicy. The clove is quite subdued or quite tamed, but you get that soft spicy vibes to it, because obviously it is a Middle Eastern fragrance, so it had to have some punch to it for it to stand out from the other fragrances. It doesn't really smell like a lot of fragrances on the market, but the only fragrance that I can compare this one to is My Perfume Araiyat Oud Al Layl. They, however, have some differences, in terms of the scent, and the lasting power and how it performs. However, this one is more honey, clove with some fruity touches. It doesn't really remind me of any fruit in particular. It has a general feel of fruity touches, just like I Am White by Latafa, I Am White, or Eba Pura. Those, they have that note of fruity, but you cannot really decipher which fruit exactly it has, but it gives you an overall fruity sort of vibes, and that is the same thing I find in Watani Intense by Wataniah. It is so pretty. It is very, very feminine. I think it's marketed as unisex, but I think this one crosses to the feminine side the more. I would rather recommend this for a woman than a man, but overall it's not too sweet or overly sweet to the extent that men will find it too feminine to enjoy. So that is our Watani's Watani Intense. It lasts such a very long time, you know, on my clothes especially. I get about 7-8 hours, you know, and even after the next day you can still smell it unless you wash the clothes until that is when you get the scent off. But it has a very good lasting power, but it doesn't really fill up a room. I sort of overspray this anytime I wear it, but you know, it doesn't also become too cloying. You know, the honey, the vanilla makes it sweet, but it doesn't become like too cloying to the extent that it suffocates or overwhelms you. It doesn't. It is quite blended well. It is like very, very smooth. It has that silky smooth, sort of even creamy butter touch to it, you know. I think the ylang ylang gives it like a buttery, creamy vibes, you know, and combined with that fruit and the honey and the vanilla makes it like what I term a Middle Eastern gourmand scent. Watani Intense has the projection of more than 1 feet, you know. It projects quite well, but it doesn't really, you know, I would not say it doesn't fill up a room, but you know, when you overspray, it really does, but it's not as strong as the Oud Al Layl that I will be comparing it to when it comes to projection. But when it comes to performance, the staying power, this is quite a good one. If you are looking for something that will last you 8 hours plus, this is a very good one and a very good contender to the performance of Oud Al Layl by My Perfumes Araiyat. This is quite feminine, fruity, a bit buttery, musky, a bit powdery, you know, with that touch of honey and triple vanilla, making it such an elegant sort of gourmand smell without any oud. So if you really are looking for a Middle Eastern affordable fragrance without an oud touch, then our Watani is one that I will recommend. It goes between you can find it between the $25 to $35 price points, depending on where you are getting it from, you know, so you can just look a bit more, then you can get a good deal on this particular one. So when it comes to me comparing it to Oud Al Layl, you know, I would say they both have the notes of rose and saffron in common, and then that is where the similarities sort of end. Although they don't have the same sort of note structure, they end up smelling somehow alike, especially at the dry down. The main difference is where is at the opening of this. The opening is this as compared to Watani Intense is quite screechy. The opening, you know, I really enjoy this fragrance, but after having this one, I've realized the opening is a bit screechy, you know, but give it like 5 minutes or 5-10 minutes for it to settle, and then it really becomes a pretty and quite close to this particular one. You get more of a jammy rose scent to this, whilst the rose in this one is not like a jammy one, you know. This one is like more floral rose, you know, touch, whilst this one is more jammy and sweet. This one gives me the impression that it has some sugar in it, but it doesn't have any sugar as part of the note structure. It doesn't also have any sort of like much vanilla or tonka or anything, but there's something about it which makes it very sweet. Oud Al Layl also gives off this sort of incensey, more woody or oud vibes, you know. This one has oud obviously, while this one has no oud to it. So those are some of the differences, but this is quite a sharp sort of rose, you know, being a jammy rose, but it comes off across as a sort of sharp piercing rose, especially at the opening, after which the dry down is like more rounded and much more likable and you know, much more wearable. But this, even at the opening, gives you that, you know, wearable fragrance that you are looking for. You don't need for this to settle down before you enjoy it, whilst this one needs a little, you know, some 2-3 minutes for it to settle down before you can truly appreciate the scent. They are both sort of unisex fragrances, but in my opinion, I find this much more feminine than Oud Al Layl. Oud Al Layl is very, very unisex to me, although it also leans feminine. In comparison to the Watani Intense, I find Watani Intense much more feminine, you know, and much more blended, well done. Oud Al Layl. This has made this one a little felt a little screechy or scratchy, you know, to me. If I had not really charged up on this, I would still, you know, love this one the way I still like it. But getting this in my collection has altered my opinion about this a bit. I still love it, but I think this one is like Watani Intense is much more refined, much more wearable, much more likable, much more feminine, much more blended well, you know, with that honey and triple vanilla, as compared to the jammy rose with that a sort of, this one gives us that oud and incense vibes, which this one does not. These both come across as very Middle Eastern in nature, you know, very Middle Eastern in nature. Scent wise, I would say they are in the same scent family, but there's definitely differences in it. You know, this one is much more feminine, much more sweeter. You know, this one gives off this the vanilla honey sweetness, whilst this one gives off a jammy rose sort of something a bit like a toffee, like a hard candy, you know, sweetness. This one has that sort of sweet hard candy sweetness, while this one has that vanillic honey, you know, blend, which is also a bit creamy and a bit silky. Oud Al Layl like lasts you days upon days with just some few sprays. They will last you like the whole day and then some. You know, you have to wash your clothes like at least once or twice before you can get it off. People will smell you before they see you. You know, that is the character of Oud Al Layl. This one also has quite a similar one, but it's more elegant, more subdued, more you know, ladylike, you know, a little toned down as compared to this particular one. Oud Al Layl also has some animalic touch to it. It gives off this animalic sort of woody touch to it, but it's not skunky, you know. And this Watani Intense does not have any animalic woody touch to it. If you have Oud Al Layl, I don't think you really need Watani Intense, and vice versa. But if you're a collector who just wants something, you know, just for the sake of having it, that is when I'll recommend you having both. But they are really in the same family, you know. This one is more unisex and this one is like a little more feminine, you know, although men also wear this nicely. So those are that is my recommendation. Price points, I think they are almost the same prices, you know. So whether you decide to pick Watani Intense or Oud Al Layl, you get the same sort of results, you know, in terms of performance and, you know, sillage and you know, value for money. You get the same sort of performance. So thank you so much for being here, guys. I really appreciate every single support. If you are new to this place, please consider subscribing. And to all my returning subscribers, thank you so much. Please do not forget to give this video a thumbs up. I would really appreciate that. And I hope to see you in my next one. Please take care. Bye-bye.